Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, shortened as Sheikh Mujib or Mujib, was a Bangladeshi politician and statesman. He is called the father of the nation in Bangladesh. He served as the first president of Bangladesh and the later as the Prime Minister of Bangladesh from 17th April 1971 until his assassination on 15 August 1975. He is considered to be the driving force behind the independence of Bangladesh. He is popularly dubbed with the title of Bongabondhu, friend of Bengal, by the people of Bangladesh. He became a leading figure in and eventually the leader of the Awami League, founded in 1949 as an East Pakistan based political party in Pakistan. Mujib is created as an important figure in efforts to gain political autonomy for East Pakistan and later as the central figure behind the Bangladesh Liberation Movement and the Bangladesh Liberation War in 1971. Thus he is regarded as Jatir Janok or Jatir Pita. Jatir Janok or Jatir Pita, both meaning father of the nation of Bangladesh. His daughter Sheikh Hasina is the current leader of the Awami League and also the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. An initial advocate of democracy and socialism, Mujib rose the ranks of the Awami League and East Pakistan politics as a charismatic and forceful orator. He became popular for his opposition to the ethnic and institutional discrimination of Bengalis in Pakistan, who comprised the majority of the state's population. At the heightening of sectional tensions, he outlined a 6-point autonomy plan and was jailed by the realm of Field Marshal Ayub Khan for treason. Mujib led the Awami League to win the first democratic election of Pakistan in 1970. Despite gaining a majority, the League was not invited by the ruling military junta to form a government, as civil disobedience erupted across East Pakistan. Mujib indirectly announced independence of Bangladesh during a landmark speech on 7th March 1971. On 26 March 1971, the Pakistan Army responded the mass protest with Operation Searchlight, in which Prime Minister-elect Mujib was arrested and flown to solitary confinement in West Pakistan, while Bengali civilians, students, intellectuals, politicians and military defectors were murdered as part of the 1971 Bangladesh genocide. During Mujib's absence, many Bengalis joined the Mukti Bahini and helped by the Indian Armed Forces defeated the Pakistan Armed Forces during the Bangladesh Liberation War. After Bangladesh independence, Mujib was released from Pakistan custody due to international pressure and returned to Dhaka in January 1972. After a short visit to British India, Mujib became the Prime Minister of Bangladesh under a parliamentary system adopted by the new country. He asked the Provisional Parliament to write a new constitution proclaiming the 4 fundamental principles: nationalism, secularism, democracy and socialism, which reflect his political views, collectively known as Mujibism. The Awami League won a huge mandate in the country's first general election in 1973. However, Mujib faced challenges of rampant unemployment, poverty and corruption. As well as the Bangladesh Famine of 1974, the government was criticized for denying constitutional recognition to indigenous minorities and human rights violation by its security forces. Notably, the National Defence Force of Jatiyo Rakhi Bahini paramilitary aimed rising political aggression. Mujib initiated one-party socialist rule in January 1975. 6 months later, he and most of his family were assassinated by renegade army officers during a coup. A martial law government was subsequently established in 2004. BBC poll: Mujib was voted the greatest Bengali of all time. Early life and education. Mujib was born in Tugipara, a village in Gopalganj district in the province of Bengal in British India, to Sheikh Rahman, a Sredistar court clerk of Sherestadar, a court clerk of Gopalganj Civil Court, and his wife Sheikh Saira Khatun. He was born into a Bengali Muslim family as the third child in a family of 4 daughters and 2 sons. His parents used to adoringly call him Khoka. In 1929, Mujib entered into class 3 at Gopalganj Public School and 2 years later class 4 at Madrepur Islamia High School. From very early age, Mujib showed a potential of leadership. His parents noted in an interview that at a young age he organized a student protest in his school for the removal of an independent principal. Mujib withdrew from school in 1934 to undergo eye surgery and returned to school only after 4 years, owing to the severity of the surgery and slow recovery. Later, he passed his matriculation from Gopalganj Missionary School in 1942, Intermediate of Arts from Islamia College, now Maulana Azad College, in 1944, and BA from the same college in 1947. After the partition of India, he was admitted into the University of Dhaka to study law, but did not complete the course because he was expelled from the university in early 1949 on the charge of inciting the 4th class employees in their agitation against the university authorities' indifference towards their legitimate demands. After 61 years in 1910, the expulsion was withdrawn as unjust and undemocratic. Political activism in British India. Mujib became politically active when he joined All India Muslim Students Federation in 1940. He joined the Bengali Muslim League in 1943. During his period, Mujib worked actively for the League's cause of a separate Muslim state of Pakistan, and in 1946 he went on to become General Secretary of the Islamia College Students Union. M. Bakshar Nair describes that Mujib emerged as the most powerful man in the party because of his proximity to Hussain Shahid Sohrawardi. After obtaining his BA degree in 1947, Mujib was one of the Muslim politicians working under Sohrawardi during the communal violence that broke out in Kolkata in 1946, just before the partition of India. Leader of Pakistan. Early political career. After the partition of India, Mujib chose to stay in the newly created Pakistan. On his return to what became known as East Pakistan, he enrolled in the University of Dhaka to study law and founded East Pakistan Muslim League's Muslim Students League. He became one of the most prominent student political leaders in the province. During these years, Mujib developed an affinity for socialism as the solution to mass poverty, unemployment, and poor living conditions. Following the declaration of Muhammad Ali Jinnah on 21st March 1948 that the peoples of East Pakistan, East Bengal, would have to adopt Urdu as the state language, protest broke out amongst the population. Mujib immediately decided to start a movement against his former planned decision of the Muslim League. In the same year, on 2nd March, a conference was held at Dhaka University Fazlul Haq Muslim Hall with leaders of different political parties. In this conference, discussions about the movement against the Muslim League were discussed. From here on, the decision of the constitution of the All-Party Parliamentary Council was decided. The strike was celebrated in Dhaka on 11 March 1948. At the decision of this council, during the strike, some other political activists, including Mujibur, were arrested in front of the Secretariat building, but due to pressure from the student protest, Mujib and other students leaders were released on 15 March. On the occasion of their release, the Rashtrabhasha Sangram Parishad National Language Action Committee arranged a rally which took place at Dhaka University. The police blocked blocked this clearly in protesting police activities. Mujib immediately announced a nationwide student strike on 17 March 1948. On 19 March, he organized a movement aimed at securing the rights of the fourth-class employees of Dhaka University. On 11 September 1948, he was again arrested. On 21st January 1949, Mujib was released from prison. Out of jail, he again became involved in the demand of the fourth-class employees, for which he was fired from the university, but he refrained from acquiring these fines as legal. In continuation of this, on 26 April, Muslim League backed candidate Shamsul Haq won by election in Tangail. Mujib went on hunger strike in front of Vice Chancellor's residence for the success of his movement, for which he was again arrested. At the time he was expelled from Dhaka University, was accused of leading the movement of the fourth-class workers' rights in the university. On 23rd June, Sohrawardi and Maulana Bhashani formed East Pakistan Awami Muslim League. After the formation, Mujib left the Muslim League and joined this new team. He was elected joint General Secretary of Party East Pakistan. He was released from prison in late June and joined the movement against the food crisis. In September of that year, he was temporarily detained for violating Section 144 but was released immediately. In early January 1950, the Awami Muslim League held an anti-feminine procession in Dhaka on the occasion of the arrival of Pakistan's Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan in East Pakistan. Mujib was arrested this time because of his leadership. He was imprisoned for 2 years. On 26 January 1952, Pakistan's Prime Minister Khwaja Nazimuddin announced that Urdu would be the only state language of Pakistan. In spite of being kept in jail after his announcements, Mujib played a key role in organizing protest by issuing instructions from jail to the state Bengali language movement. After this, it was decided to observe 21st February as the day of recognition of state language. At the same time, Mujib decided to observe the fast on 14th February from jail. His fasting lasted 13 days. On 26 February, he was released from jail. Founding of the Awami League. Mujib left the Muslim League to join Maulana Bhashani and Yar Muhammad Khan in the formation of the Awami Muslim League. The predecessor of the Awami League, Maulana Bhashani, was elected as the president, while Yar Muhammad Khan was the treasurer. He was elected joint secretary of its East Bengal unit in 1949. While Sohrawardi worked to build a larger coalition of East Bengal and socialist parties, Mujib focused on expanding the grassroots organization. In 1953, he was made the party's general secretary and elected to the East Bengal Legislative Assembly on a united front coalition ticket in 1954. Serving briefly as the Minister for Agriculture during A.K. Fazlul Haq's government, Mujib was briefly arrested for organizing a protest of the central government's decision to dismiss the United Front Ministry. He was elected to the Second Constituent Assembly of Pakistan and served from 1955 to 1958. The government proposed to dissolve the province in favor of an amalgamation of the western province of the domination of Pakistan in a plan called One Unit. At the same time, the central government would be strengthened under one unit. The western province were merged as West Pakistan. During the creation of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan 1956, that year East Bengal was renamed as East Pakistan as part of one unit. At the same time, Mujib demanded that the Bengali people's ethnic identity be respected and that a popular verdict should decide to the question of naming and of official language. Sir, President of the Constituent Assembly, sir, you will see that they want to place the word East Pakistan instead of East Bengal. We had demanded so many times that you should use Bengal instead of Pakistan. The word Bengal has a history, has a tradition of its own. You can change it only after the peoples have been consulted. So, for far as the question of one unit is concerned, it can come in the constitution. Why do you want it to be taken up just now? What about the state language Bengali? We will be prepared to consider one unit with all these things. So I appeal to my friends on that side to allow the people to give their verdict in any way, in the form of referendum or in the form of plebiscite. In 1956, Mujib entered a second coalition government as Minister of Industries, Commerce, Labour, Anti-Corruption and Village Aid. He resigned in 1957 to work full-time for the party organization. In 1958, General Ayub Khan suspended the constitution and imposed martial law. Mujib was arrested for organizing resistance and imprisoned until 1961. After his release, Mujib started organizing an underground political body called the Shadhin Bengal Biplobi Porishad, Free Bangla Revolutionary Council, comprising students leaders to oppose the regime of Ayub Khan. They worked for increased political power for Bengalis and the independence of East Pakistan. He was briefly arrested again in 1962 for organizing protest. আপনারা যদি আমার ভিডিওটি ভালো লেগে থাকে অবশ্যই লাইক কমেন্ট এবং শেয়ার করবেন এবং অবশ্যই চ্যানেলটি সাবস্ক্রাইব করতে